Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Founder Social Podcast. I'm welcomed by our team of Sonap. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure.
Well, to start out, why don't you tell us a little bit about your founder story?
Well, how deep back should I go?
As far back as you want.
Well, so I'm Armenian. I was born in Kiev. It's the capital city of Ukraine. I grew up in Russia. And for the last 16 years, I've been living in California. Initially, I came here and I submitted my application to Berkeley, but then I withdrew and I decided to spend 1 year making music. It was like art house hip hop.
Oh, cool.
And then during that period, I co-founded a company where we've been selling night vision and thermal imaging systems. Yeah, it was basically like a chain of websites that were selling night vision and thermal imaging systems. And the reason why we choose that, because the e-commerce in 2012 started taking off. So I entered in 2011, and the night vision industry just became consumer available. The products, consumer available tech. Before it was usually like it's a tactical or military stuff, and the industry was growing like really rapidly. So if you know the, have you ever shoot?
Shoot?
Yeah, like
Like guns?
yeah.
Yeah, I've done it a few times.
Yeah, so in the whole setup, the most expensive part is actually optics. And optics is usually like a small and expensive. So it's very shipment friendly.
Yeah.
Because when you are in e-commerce, you want to shipment, the shipping cost be fraction of the unit cost. Otherwise, people prefer to go and buy things from the store.
Right.
That's why there's comments like Petco, there's like pets food didn't really take off as they expected, because if they're like price 2x because of the shipment, and like people don't like that. So, but with the optics, it was perfect. And I started that. First 3 years were growing like 300% year over year. So it was really good. And the way actually how we started, it also was funny, because we rented like a 5-bedroom house and brought my friends there and been just living in building the startup there.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, maybe I can send you some pictures. It's just like crazy.
Where's the house?
It was in a town called Antioch.
Oh, okay.
And we were living next to the range. So we'll go and check the like night vision thermal imaging systems there, then daytime optics too. And we started with the one company. It's like, South San Francisco company, ATN, then Armasight, and then we expanded to like 50 different brands. Like a worldwide, we're working with big brands like Swarovski, Nikon, like some Japanese brands, and everything was great. But then Google came up with the policy that if you sell anything that can be attached to the weapon, you are not allowed to advertise with Google. And 90+% of our convertible traffic was coming from Google.
Oh, no.
And that was basically detrimental. Although we have a lot of traffic from social media, we did a lot of cool stuff. Like we set up a bunch of different Facebook pages at the time. It was like dedicated to each brand, each technology, and we would create a system that would auto post, like over there, taking content from YouTube, taking content from internet, taking content from your website, kind of repurpose it. The NLP technology just started taking off then. So we mostly use and it wasn't reliable. So we just created like hundreds of different templates, and it was just like a plugin things. Yeah. And we would have like massive traffic from it, like I think like hundreds of thousands of visitors per month. But the problem with social media that I didn't know at the time is that most of the purchases that are happening on social media is impulsive purchase. And impulsive purchase category is great for units under like $65. My average order value was like $1,700, $2,000, right? It was frustrating, but like it was very high. So no one would put like couple G's, impulsively because they saw a post on social media. So in that case, it's good for the awareness, but in terms of conversion, it's not that great for my industry. So when Google took us off, and they took off us like from their ads platform, it called AdWords at the time.
Yeah.
And they also kill our ACO for some reason. So that led that we had a lawsuit with Google. So we filed a lawsuit against Google, and that this lawsuit was going on for some time. Again, me being completely unexperienced with anything in my life, I thought, because I started when I was like 21 or something, I thought that like, there's a justice, this, that, like they're incorrect because they turn us down, but they didn't touch like, Cabela's, Amazon, like all like big players.
Big players.
Yes. So I thought like this is unfair. So we filed against like unfair business practices. And what I've learned later on, apparently when you're suing someone in the corporate world, there's this thing called legal theory. And legal theory is basically how do you you have to strategically approach the lawsuit, because lawsuit has the costs, like cost of cost of pursuing this idea, and certain legal theories, they give you certain multiples on your losses. And certain legal theories account for certain things, which other legal theories don't account. So the best cost of actions for us, it would be go after antitrust. Basically proving that Google is monopoly and they're abusing their power against smaller players like us, an advantage for the other big players that they might have a better relationship. But to pursue that, antitrust idea, it would cost us like millions of dollars. And basically it wasn't like viable. And then the one that we pursued, and I was paying at the beginning at cash, then I found another lawyer who would do it like contingently, but basically didn't go anywhere. But the company was dead at that point. We couldn't fight. So, yeah. So
if you were to go back, would you do it again?
No, because I made a ton of different mistakes. Like one mistake was that like suing anyone and paying cash for it is a bad idea if you're not like a large corporation, right? The second is like I centralize all my marketing channels for the convertible traffic through the Google.
Right.
Like if I would do it now, I would diversify it more into the partnerships. That it's just the idea that you have follow money, right? Like, and Google was the channel for me to get the money because that the conversion happening. And I was like doubling down. I still would build different things around it, but they were not as powerful as convertible, like in terms of the conversion rate. And yeah, so I would definitely diversify my marketing. I would not try to sue anyone at that point. And third, I probably wouldn't even enter that industry, to be honest with you, because at the outside it looked great, but the problem was that I think I was vegetarian at the time. And I was so against all this, so in a sense, I was like hypocritical to myself. I didn't like the essence of the selling something that can be attached to the guns. And it was bothering me, but I was silencing that noise. And even the way how my company was approaching, we've just been very tedious on the unit economics, on optimization things. We basically automated everything, our warehouse management, like everything. The way how we show items on the website, the prioritization, but we wouldn't be as the person who goes and shoots for his own pleasure, or who is really, really in the industry.
Right.
So we would be like this, in a sense, tech nerds in the very traditional industry. So, and it was helping us at the beginning. I think we sold for $7 or $8 million total of goods, but it was not enough. So we needed
to scale.
Yeah, 3 more years without Google shutting us down to actually pass this
peak.
Yes, kind of like critical mass of revenue and threshold to start to be more stable and start optimizing things. And so especially when you grow, you are not concerned about the gross margins, you're on a growth phase, right? You're just concerned about the growth. And yeah, and for us to cut that growth at that moment was kind of detrimental for the company.
For sure.
Yeah, but
that's a good lesson though, because a lot of people use Facebook ads and it's the primary growth metric for the cost of ROAS and everything. So yeah, you definitely need to diversify where your traffic is coming from, and that's a great takeaway.
Yeah, and the build organic foundation. It's very important. And I thought we'd build it, but always also was taken away. But anyway, after that, I joined the company Magento. It's actually the platform that we've been using for our commerce stores. It was an open source, PHP-based e-commerce platform. I knew in and outs of that platform because we automated, we took it apart and, So I joined their company in their headquarters in San Jose, no, in Campbell.
Okay.
And it was great because I was sitting next to CEO of Magento, it was a business unit, and I was the only product designer there. And I would attend all these cool meetings and learn a ton of things. Then Then we got acquired by Adobe for 1.7 billion.
Wow.
Yeah. And at the time, yeah, and I joined Adobe and I spent some time at Adobe in San Jose. And that's when I also finished I get my computer science degree. I was basically studying and working at the same time. And in 2019, I quit Adobe and started a second company called Anolo. And Anolo was basically that everything was automated for my previous store. I just package it like SaaS and ship it. I think first 3 months we got 1,000 companies signing up for it. So it was great. And in 4 months, we got to this conversation with Canva for the acquisition. And the problem then was, and this podcast probably will sound that I'm the most unlucky guy, but it's on me. So there's two things. First was COVID, which was good for us because the e-commerce was booming. We were serving the e-commerce platforms. So in terms of growth, it was good. The problem was Canva wanted to acquire us. They wanted us to relocate to Sydney. And I met two.
Is that Canva?
Yeah, Canva. And they just raised their round. I think it was like, I don't know, like a few $100 million for $40 billion valuation. And they start like acquiring like small players like us. And what we did in Anolo, so during my school time, I took some AI algorithm at Harvard where we would like use basically like XG boosting or like there's basically regression algorithms and like forced decision algorithms to predict, and I choose this project for myself because I wanted to then plug it into my company, basically to predict when and how often you should publish on social media to maximize your exposure. And there's the metric called ER, like engagement rate. It's a basically weighted sum of different metrics like reactions, comments, shares, and so on.
Right.
And I mean, I'm exposing them, but whatever. Like so, and basically, like if you have basically different features, like you have, like whatever you decided to hyper parameterize, right? Like the content length, the content essence, like images, this is this, and time. And how many posts been before and how many posts after, and then what is the ERR. So you can actually get in some predictions, right? So we've been predicting that. And the problem is it's almost not falsifiable in a sense of immediate comparison. So you cannot have a control versus the test. And because posts can be posted only one time, there's no alternative universe where you can check, the time of that post. But you can see the average of postings before you started using the app and after, right? And there was a good trend on that sense. So I took this algorithm, plug into the Facebook automation thing that we had before on my previous startup, and also built Content Cloud system where we basically scrape your e-commerce store. We took all videos from the YouTube that you own or don't, and internet postings like some articles, news, and other stuff, and basically help you to, build up your social media presence. And a lot of companies found this useful, but there also was a few problems. So we did some money from it, but it wasn't like, big. And the problem was like, first of all, the lifetime value. So we were focusing on the SMBs. Like usually big companies, they have like content management teams and they're like very picky in certain things. So that degree of automation is not something they need to. But our the kind of our niche, it was like, hey, let's go from the SMB stores, right? And when you look at the Shopify, like Shopify stores metrics, it shows that there's 2 million, right? And there's like only 8,000 on premium, which kind of signals you that like there's like 1.9 plus million just SMBs, right? Like if they cannot afford premium, or like pro, whatever Shopify does, premium offerings. So, but we started outreaching them and we noticed that there is, first of all, a lot of empty stores. A lot of stores are like, just have no revenue or so there's a lot of empty data. And those who sign up, it's usually like 8 months lifetime. And then when I entered it was like, we kind of were the first, but then there was like a lot of, people from South Asia, like building similar apps. They're much shittier, but they kind of do the job done. And they basically price it like pennies. And we kind of have to compete with them. So there was this like thing, but the technology was good, system was good. We still have like organically like hundreds of stores just signing up. And the Canva wanted to acquire us, but the Canva wanted to move us to the Sydney. There was the COVID. And my big mistake was I basically, my whole team and my co-founder were Russians. And I did that for the like, like kind of, it's much cheaper to do that. And the talent is really good there. But but Russian restrictions, legal and relocating was impossible due to the like, macro stuff. So the deal didn't go through. But we spent like 6 months trying to close that deal. So it's back and forth, due diligence, presentations, like meetings, and huge distraction. And after that, I decided, okay, you know what, like it's fine. So we start building our things. 20,000 companies sign up at that point. So it was great. And I said the fundraise. And so we start up like kind of like reaching out, and I got my term sheet, and then I went to Moscow. I was meeting with the team. I lived in like Russia for 6 months, and then I came from Russia. And after 2 weeks, I came back. The Russian-Ukrainian war started.
Oh man!
And so I have a term sheet, but then I kind of like from the European, and it's like, let's just hold on. And then I just realized that like no reputable VC will touch us, like at least in Silicon Valley, and in Europe too. So I left the company. My partner kind of kept pushing it, and I joined Walmart Labs. And at Walmart Labs, I initially joined the catalog team, giving my experience with like accounts, blah blah blah. But eventually, I moved to their intelligence business growth team. And I was senior manager. Basically, I had a team, and we were building a platform for forecasting.
Okay.
At Walmart, everything is forecasting.
Yeah.
Forecasting goes like P&L, like how much money you're gonna make, how much money it's gonna cost, like all breakdown with the marketing and why not. But also like there's like operational forecasting, like how many people we need to put in which store, salaries, like headcounts, I think like inventory. And that forecasting has ton of different inputs, like including Taylor Swift's concert. Like if Taylor Swift has a concert in some region, you better pack toilet paper in those stores, or like whatever, right? So there's a bunch of different inputs, and they go across the dimension of time. And dimension of time is like next hour, next day, next 7 days, months, 3 months, year, 5 years, right? And it's basically different waves of forecasting. There's like high frequency, like low frequencies. So incredibly interesting job, honestly. I think I was like, whoa, and you're working with like data scientists, like ton of AI engineers, like very, very advanced guys. Because at Walmart, you have like 10,000 business units.
Right.
And business unit could be certain category, business unit could be some store, and you need to predict that thing across all of them. Yeah, so I was doing that during that time. And stop me if I'm talking too much, bro, because I feel like
No, go for it. I love it.
So I was doing that, but during that time, I started getting interested in learning philosophy and Christianity and things that, because my family are Christians, like we're Armenians, right? Armenia is one of the first countries who took Christianity on the state level. I think the first, not one of the first. And both of my parents are Christians, but I never read at the time Bible from the beginning to the end. So I decided to read it, and kind of familiarize myself with it. So I bought 66 books, because Bible is not like just one book, it's collections, right? So I started reading it, and usually I read before I go to sleep, and I realized that it's going not as fast as I expected, and the language is a little bit like not easy sometimes. I don't really get what does it mean. So you need to research. Constantly when you read the Bible, you have to research what does it mean. You go to the Reddits, blah, blah, blah. And it takes time. So, and also my eyes, started hurting. Yeah. So I decided to do the following. I was like, okay, I will set up the chat with Jesus. I will feed all that data, and I will just talk to Jesus, asking him questions. So that was great. I was chatting with Jesus, getting a lot of good information from Jesus, but it was still was like kind of like a ping pong. So I a little bit like fine tuning. So Jesus gives the lectures, and I'm asking questions only when I have a question. And that's when I ended up with this my last company, Sun. Yeah. So I started learning the Bible that way, and I feel that's so good because eventually I put that in an app, in an audio, so I can walk and listen lectures, ask questions when I have them, and basically do that with Jesus, do that with Aristotle, do that with the Immanuel Kant. So like I started learning a lot of good philosophy.
Where did all this content live?
From the books, from PDFs, from inner knowledge of the model itself, from the internet Reddit conversations, from publicly available articles, basically all publicly available information. So I was doing that, and in February, I met with my future CTO, and I showed him the app, and I said, like, how cool is that? It meant me can learn any topic, like not just passively listening, and the app is also going to learn about you and present you certain things, knowing that you already learned that thing, like, and so on and so forth. And I said, but the coolest part of this, you can search any of these courses, but if you search something and it doesn't exist yet, you can press the button and it's going to generate it for you. And he said something that was like my, like kind of aha moment, and he's like, but why you just wouldn't ask people from the get-go like what they want to learn and just generate it, just give them like kind of ChatGPT kind of experience. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's actually a good idea. So he joined me to build that thing. We basically built it in April. I quit. It was very painful, man, because I had a great team. I had some trajectory. I liked the product, and like I felt like, Walmart is like Walmart does like $600 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
Like 2.3 million people working. I need to forecast all of this in research kind of thing. But I decided to quit because I felt like AI window might close soon, so now or never. Yeah. And I quit Walmart March 28th, and April 1st was my first day basically at Sun full time. And 1 week after, this is actually another funny thing. 1 week after that happened, my wife told me that she's pregnant.
A little eventful.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I was like, whoa, I just quit full-time stable job to pursue this idea, but I think like if you told me earlier, I probably wouldn't do that, but the fact that she told me after, and I was like, I must go all in,
Yeah.
And then we applied to a16z, so we kind of like go back and forth with the vision, revise it, like sign up like a couple hundred test users. I applied to the a16z Speedrun program, and I got accepted. So like you have to know where you stand, and it's gonna be traction or resume. Truth to be told, no one cares about idea. Idea might just be helpful on selecting from who you want to raise money, right? It's a filter because if an a16z Speedrun, they're kind of agnostic at this point, but like they started as a gaming, right? Like, but let's say like some fund, like XYZ fund, don't invest in B2C apps, right? So if you have an idea that sits on the B2C space, I wouldn't waste my time even applying to them because they are B2B fund.
Right.
Like, so I think idea is just more like a navigational from who you want to raise money. But the factor of getting fund, it's going to be traction or your resume.
So talk us through like building traction, other go-to-market strategies, or like how if I was starting out today and I had an idea, taking your advice, it doesn't matter on the idea, but like you still need to develop that pipeline of growth. Do you have any tips?
Depends on the nature of your idea, right? So there's the phases. First, you will definitely validate the idea, right? And to validate the idea, you don't need to have like thousands of millions of people using your app. You need to find like a small cohort of users who love your idea. And it might be like dozens of people, right? Then there will be another question is like, can I extrapolate that and predict whether or not there's a market big enough to VCs to even consider you? But it's like for the second phase, right? Problem. For the first, it's just like, can you find at least like a handful of people who love your idea, who are using it? And with Sun, we found like a few people who would use, and it was so like, we still don't have a like recommendation system on our app, right? Like basically, if you like it, you use it. It's gonna might have at the time when we launched this podcast, I see that some people, they just coming back like on a weekly basis and like generating courses or generating the summaries for the certain books they want to learn. So that signals me that, okay, so that might not be the huge audience, but there's some audience, right? And then I'm like, okay, so what that audience consists of? Like, who are those people?
Right.
And I start talking to them and I start noticing certain similarities in their occupation, similarities in their age range, and similarities on their use cases, like when they listening to what they do, right? So once I got that, and with Sunap's too, or at least for pre-launch, but with the previous experience, right? Once I got that, I was like, okay, so how can I validate whether or not there's like bigger market? And that's when the ads come to play. In my case, right? So I start running some ads and finding that targeting those people, yes, what converting, what not, kind of A/B test different messages, A/B test different like presentation, positioning. And then after that, like, okay, can we do like some partnerships? Where does those people hang out, right? Like for us, it was like e-commerce stores. Okay, like where? Like, oh, like Shopify. Okay, Shopify what? Shopify App Store, actually interesting. Okay, can we run Shopify App Store ads? Yes, like, like, do we have a competition? So like, and then I start exploring. And at this point, like, there's this concept like a breadth first search or depth first search. So at first you want to go broad and just like test it. And when you see this good signals, like whether it's conversion, click-through rate or whatever, you start kind of diving deeper in it till you find something, right? And then when you find something, it means unit economics, right? Like it's profitable to acquire people from that channel. And usually like any channel has a ceiling, like you can get up to the certain level. So you ride that, right? You ride it up to the ceiling, and then you're trying to find another thing like that can also give you that signal.
And when you're riding that to the ceiling, do you test other channels in the meanwhile?
I do. Like, and then one thing that I always had, like, from child, like, I don't have a lack of ideas. I think if anything, I always have some idea to test, and sometimes it sounds crazy. And honestly, like even now with with investors and like with partners, we have different like opinions on whether or not it's a good idea to try it. I feel like you always have to try to find new niches that are not overcrowded, because if you go to this concept of blue ocean, red ocean, if you go to like red ocean channel, where there's like a lot of players, like
Saturated.
Yeah, it's like a saturated market. So like what happens there is always the cost per click is go up, gross margin is going down. Like it's just
Sustainable. Yeah.
yeah. Like, and if you are like a big leader and you have like good upsell, cross-sell packages, whatever it is, right? And you have like a kind of like a flywheel of different services, tap on it, you can maybe afford to go after net negative channel for the an amount of time. But for the startups, it's like you probably have to be more selective because your runway is much shorter. Yes. And you have to, like, every mistake kind of like brings you closer to the death. It's like constantly this existential threat out there.
Cool. Yeah. So all of your background kind of leads up to where you are now, and you're leveraging those experiences. So take us to where you are now. Like, where do you want to go with Sonap?
So eventually, Sun will be an app. Like we have this like vision statement that everything that can be learned via sound eventually will be learned via sound. Which means that like if you want to listen the audiobook or audiobook summary, or you want to take a course, like everything that fits to the audio learning, whether it's for pleasure or for educational purposes, you will open up Sun and do that, right? And now there's like 500 million people listening to the like word spoken audio, right? Not music audio, right? Like, and it goes across podcasts and audiobooks. Now, 35% of that market is nonfiction category. 65 is a fiction, 35 nonfiction. The beauty about nonfiction, though, it's growing 27% year over year. So that's the market we're after. We want to capitalize on that market. And nonfiction is personal development, entrepreneurship, biographies, memoirs, health and wellness, like all that goodness. So we want to make Sun go to place for that. And the way how we're achieving that is, I've been studying AI, I build the models, and I was in the AI department at Walmart, and I work with the catalogs. So we want to create the most intuitive app for that leverages the hyper personalization, hyper customization, and always up-to-date content that pre-recorded content cannot just offer. Because if you pre-recorded something, including this podcast, like a year ago, right? The things that I'm telling now, some of them relevant, some of them not, right? There's always different ways. And in nonfiction category, that's very important because you're learning. You want to learn most up to date. So with the Sun, it's always up to date because it's generative content. The second hyper personalization is it understands what you've learned, understands what you don't know. Also, because you can ask questions and it's not a passive, it's interactive. It also finds your home. So there is some notion of the profiling that builds over time. And the voices that you choose, the customization part, you choose this voice. When you open Sun, you have a catalog of the content. There's also some challenges, like we're running, for example, for the new year, 365-day challenge, where you can learn one audiobook summary per day, basically learning one book a day. And it's absolutely high quality. And I guarantee this is better than any summary app out there. Don't even dare to compare us to any of them. We're way, way, way better. But it's basically, you can learn one book a day. And you can ask questions. You can talk to the book if you don't understand certain parts. And if you pass, by the way, 365-day challenge, we'll refund you the full annual subscription. But anyway, so this you see that on the homepage. You see on the homepage some courses that have been generated by community. You see audiobook summaries that we already kind of generated for you. But then you have this like a plus button. And then when you press on the plus button, we open up the kind of ChatGPT-like chat. And you can put any prompt you want on any topic. And then you can select the duration of the audio. A ton of very positive feedback from the people because people were skeptical. The first question is like, oh man, we're using ChatGPT, blah, blah, blah. But then they get it why? Because
hyper-personalized.
Hyper-personalized, it learns over time. Also, our user experience, it's very like a player-first experience. It's like a Spotify, kind of thing. Yeah, it's just, I think today, pre-recorded content, it's rigid, it's fixing this lens. Like sometimes you don't like the narrator's voice. Sometimes it's factually outdated or incorrect. Some fact checks are like from the get-go, it's make sure that everything outdated. And the way Sun was designed, there's 60 plus verification steps. So like the goal number one would start generating this engine, which called Genesis, is we make sure that the accuracy and fact checking are there first. Now we're focusing a lot on making it engaging and fun and juicy. Like there's elements of music, there's sound effects, there's it makes it entertaining too. But the first step when we start working on it is, okay, well, we need to make sure that it's factually correct. Because if you don't nail that part, like trust is gone and everything, falls apart. So yeah, and then course generated, you can listen, you can enjoy, you can share with people. You have your library of content. And we have a really, I don't want to disclose everything, but we have really interesting ideas on how to make it more social. Yes. Also we're talking with the teachers. Some teachers want to implement Sun for their students. So we're trying to stay away from that market for now because it's very particular, industry when you go to working with schools and stuff. But there's definitely this desire for that.
So who's your core target audience right now?
It's interesting. It's entrepreneurs and wantrepreneurs. So people who, and I steal that wantrepreneurs phrase from Alex Hormozy. He's like wantrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But this is true. People who actually actively engaging in any business or startup, and people who want to do that. And the reason why, because these people usually learn a lot of things within a short period of time. They usually are busy, so they appreciate this. And to be honest with you, when you're an entrepreneur, you need to learn a lot of things, and you don't always have a luxury to sit and read. So, and now the most active users are one way or another, they're entrepreneurs. Yeah. So, so now I want to create the absolutely best app for entrepreneurs, and we have really, really, really good and interesting ideas. How can we serve these particular users? Yes, because I'm being an entrepreneur, and I know I can empathize to this market a lot.
For sure.
kind of
I feel that a lot because like actually I was also at Walmart and on my daily commute, all I would listen to is podcasts. And sometimes I would even pump up the speed to like 1.2 or 1.5 because you have limited time. And I really see the market here.
Yeah. And that, like, and also the recommendation system, right? Like if you think about it, like with Sun, we have actually unlimited catalog, like literally unlimited catalog, right? Sure, like a podcast and like audiobooks, they have like a large catalogs, right? But they're still discrete topics because there's a set of topics they have to choose from to serve you. With Sun, like if I know that you're interested in like, I don't know, how to create a cotton t-shirt when you have $100 in your bank account. I don't know, like, we can actually serve another course how to create a cotton-based sweater, like I just generate a course like on that topic. So that degree of granularity that generative AI capable produce compared to any pre-recorded rigid content is, of course, some people were complaining at the first, like, oh, the like voices sound robotics, right? When you're talking about the TTS, like text to speech models, we now producing, I would say, indistinguishable voices that like, and I will play with you. I will play for you some of them. I will play for you like real one and AI generated, and I'll ask you which one is real.
Voice tone is absolutely critical. Voss emphasizes what he calls the late night FM DJ voice, which is calm, slow, downward inflecting, and reassuring. This tone creates a sense of safety and authority without aggression. It signals that you're not a threat, that there's no rush, that the other person can relax and open up.
And like, I would like to get your opinion on this.
Sure.
Yeah. So like the voice is good, and we just passed this threshold, this like inflection point when like actually generating long form audio makes economically sense. So you can actually bring such app on the market and have these offerings at scale.
Sure. And so say I go on Sun right now and I type in a prompt, how long does it take to generate a course?
It depends what the course or like audiobooks you generate, somewhere between minute and a half to go up to like 7 minutes. Because what happens, the evaluator step, when it evaluates content, that's what kind of hard to control. Because if it finds that the content that it generated, it contradicts some other content somewhere and some other place feels more legit than this place, it might redo things.
Right.
So, but generally it's like this, like, I would say an average, like from 1 minute to 5 minutes, like, kind of.
And the users just have access as long as they have a subscription.
Yeah. So for the pricing model, you can have an access to everything that the community already generated. So you sign up after you have access to basically all audiobooks that Sun generated, and you have certain amount of credits to generate the new courses that you want to. And usually it's enough. It's about like you can generate like 10 courses or like even more per month. So like it's more than enough for you to have fun. We just want to kind of prevent bad actors, like entering the system and start generating like thousands of courses, right, to exhaust the system or credits. So, yeah.
Makes sense. So now moving back a little, how do you manage like investor expectations with your vision?
Yeah, this is some tough one because sometimes investors, they have their view, they have your view. I think we prioritize what we deeply believe in. But you have to communicate honestly and transparently where you're at. And if you don't know, just say, I don't know. For me, for the long time was the problem of what is the right go-to-market strategy. Because we started with this vision that everyone can just learn. You basically can generate whatever audiobook or podcast you want, and you can talk to it, right? And in Sun, you can generate from somewhere between 5 minutes to a couple hours of uninterrupted audio, right? And so this is like a grand vision, but who are your first users? Who people who gonna pay? Like how much? So now we have a clear vision for the go-to-market strategy, and that was partially shaped by the investors, because you have to like be honest with what that person who sits next to you have an expertise in. You know, that person, especially like at Speedrun, a16z, they've seen hundreds of, if not thousands of startups, B2C startups approaching go-to-market strategy from different angles. So you don't want to be like arrogant. and make those dumb mistakes because you like think you're always right? So you have to listen. Sometimes you have an instinct that you cannot articulate well. You just know that this is right? But if that's not that, and you got presented with the like data or like someone who has more expertise, you have to be like open-minded. And I feel like when you're approaching that with like respect and right dialogue, there's no need to like your interests with investors are aligned. So it's not like you have wanted, or you need to say something to investors that they want to hear. Matter of fact, Ben Horowitz, he's always said this is like a bad idea, like to do that. So like you want to like say people what you truly believe, like be honest, transparent, and just have like an open dialogue with them. That's good because your interests are aligned. You both want to make this company work out, because like if it works out, everyone wins. So in a sense, they are in your team, and you want to treat them like your team members. One thing that I was mentoring designers, like even in my own, I created this like onboarding playbook, right? And one of the slides I put there is like, treat everyone as a user of your product, right? And what does it mean? Listen to them, make them easy to work with you, like remove the friction, right? And I was addressing that to my designers because sometimes they would ship like designs and they're not user friendly for the engineers to build, right? And I'm like, think about how engineers navigate the file. Your design doesn't end only in the screens of your app or like web application that you put together. It's also in your communication to the engineers, in your communication to the product team. Like all those people are one or another way are like users of your product, of your service. So, and the same thing in the team, like you want to make sure everyone feels they're heard, they're understood, and there's no friction between you, unnecessary friction. And investors are just, in that sense, your team players who contribute with their funds, right? That's how I look at it.
Very good mindset to have. And I think that's why you are where you are right now and how you're going to grow, because you have an empathetic mindset and you pay attention to detail.
I feel like, this game is, it's brutal in terms of the standards that you have to hold yourself and your team members, and like you cannot approach it differently because Steve Jobs said, like, if the top line is right, the bottom line will follow, right? And what it means, like, you want to attract the right people, right? That like your team, you want to make sure they have a good processes. And then the product, like go-to-market strategy being successful, it's all kind of like outcome of that input, right? And to have that, like to attract good people, you have to be a good person, right? Like to attract high performers, you have to be a high performer. Like it's the same like with the dating, right? Like if you want to date like some beautiful girl, like you have to keep yourself like up to those standards, right? That's how I got my wife. About that, it's still like they say like a world is the mirror, right? So in a sense,
yeah. Going off that, so how do you attract those high performers other than being a high performer yourself?
I'll go tactical, right? Like rigid interviews. There shouldn't be people who just get to your team like accidentally. Like you have to be like very selective. And the cost of that is of course the speed. Like, for example, I had a lot of good like I posted on LinkedIn the job post, and also like a16z sends me like candidates every week. So I posted this, I'm looking for like a founding VP of engineering, CTO, and I have like 700 applicants, right? And some applicants are on paper, they're amazing. Like PhD from top universities, they work there. But then you discover something, right? Like, and you have to understand that actually my ex-boss at Magento, he said something like very profound to me one day. He says, so when he hired me, right, I was from the startup, right? And at the time I was like a dropout, like, the definitions. But he said, like, you know what? I'm hiring for life. I said that you are the guy I would love to work for the rest of my life, right? So to do that kind of call, like, especially for the like leadership position, right? You want that person to be great leader. In a sense, be a teacher, like a patient, but also like super high performer, right? And knowledgeable, and also have those criteria that will attract people like him, right? It's very, very hard to find. But being selective, being patient, being honest. Like when people go to the interview, I'm like, some people email me amazing guy, background. But then like if someone like emails me like, oh, like I would love to make sure that I don't work more than 40 hours per week, like I respect work-life balance. I respect like people having families, but maybe the startup is not the, place for you to be if that's your priority, right? Because if you are like, I'm going to sleep, I'm thinking about it, I wake up thinking about it, like every minute one way or another relevant to that. Like even this podcast, right? Like so for me, to means to like, get closer or share
your goals.
Yes, but it's still in this. So if someone doesn't have that mindset, I feel like it might not be a good match for the founding team. It might be a good match for mature state, right, of the company. Once it matures, and you need those people who just are multipliers. They're good on something. They have people working for them, right, or with them, but not in the founding team, early stage startup. It's just, so there's like, and of course there's Warren Buffett, like, you want to have high intelligence, high energy, and high integrity, right? Hard to judge like integrity part through interviews, but you still get signals. I recently start noticing that small things is like a microcosm of bigger things.
Right.
So paying attention on small details, they usually reveal the personality.
And so for your current interview process, like you get the resumes, you do like normal style, or you do like work trials, like how long?
So we have a first interview is super casual, basically get to know each other. Sometimes with candidates, I go like for lunch, just to eat and talk about like life, see like the mindset and vibe. The second interview is algorithms and coding, basically technical stuff. Third interview is AI LLMs, and fourth interview is behavioral stuff, basically like a leadership style, how he would like resolve the conflicts and so on. And someone passes that, then we set it up with the team meetings. No one passed that yet. That's like
Hopefully soon.
that's why I don't have a situation. I'm a solo founder now.
Well, that comes with challenges and growth of your own.
Yeah, you have no one to account on. Which is irritating, like sometimes you're like, oh, you just want to like
Bounce ideas.
just assign a task to someone and not being involved in the, resolution and get just result that will see. I will look at it and I'm like, wow. But now it's like, I have like basically the people who like Flutter engineer, like we have like AI engineer, we have a designer, but then we'll have like a bunch of like virtual assistants, like them hiring on the Upwork and whatnot. And all those things connected to me, it's just sitting now. I have like a ton of people just messaging, like, and I know that after this pod, like I need to go just answering. And sometimes you need to think about answering, right? Because like all this messages is not just updates. All those, like majority of those messages are questions. And you have to make a decision. Sometimes, yes, it's a reversible decision. So you're just, okay, whatever, let's go fast. But some decisions are not that easily reversible, right?
It has to be strategic and with some thought. Yeah.
And then you have to like, okay, I need to like manage my context, like that's like context and evaluation, just like a LLMs, context and decision, yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any last minute thoughts or lessons for the audience?
Well, first of all, if you're an entrepreneur and you're serious about your career, you must download and use Sun. If you want to learn, just do like a little plug.
For sure.
Yeah, it's
maybe we can do like a founder social club collab and do like the 365-day challenge.
I love that
community or something.
I love that.
Yeah.
And again, if you are that consistent, like imagine this challenge, right? Like if you stay for a whole year, you learn ton of things.
Yeah.
And get your money refunded. And if you even didn't go through the whole challenge, you still learn like ton of new things.
Yeah,
so it's like net positive, right? But in seriousness, I just wanted to make a joke about the plug. But the whole seriousness is just hardworking attitude. If you're hardworking, honest, and you at least try, if it doesn't come naturally, love people, good things will happen to you. I feel like good intentions produce good results eventually,
Yeah.
So that would be my...
Thank you. Yeah. It's just about getting there.
Just
keep going. So tell me about the startup show.
So yeah, the startup show, it's we're basically documenting the whole journey of building AI startup in Silicon Valley. And we're doing that in a very exaggerated comedic way.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's sometimes absurd and it doesn't make any sense, but it's grounded in the truth. So the events that happening there actually happened, but the way how they're presented, it's there's a lot of self-irony, and fun part of it is just like a real and fantasy kind of coexist in the same visual world. Yeah. So it's called The Startup Show.
Yeah.
Actually, if you will go to YouTube and type The Startup Show, I think we're appearing on the first page, although we just released one episode so far. But on the LinkedIn, we got 300,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah, on YouTube, it doesn't perform that well yet. It's just like under 1,000, but it was just the first episode.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I watched it.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll make an appearance in one of the episodes.
Oh, I would love to, actually. We should do it, man. All right. Thank you.
See you.